All right, quick flex check before we actually start this video. So you actually know what I'm talking about, because today we're going to be talking about starting a dropshipping business and whether or not you should actually do that. What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the highs? What are the lows? What are the potential pitfalls, so that you can be fully informed before you get into this business model to begin with? Because yes, there are immense highs of being able to scale a store from scratch with very little money, potentially only a few $100s, to thousands of dollars a day, to 6 figures a month, to actually selling that business for a 6-7 figure payday, to have a business that is cash flowing at 20, 30, 40%, while you only have to work a few hours a week on it because you have team members running the store for you. And you're making hundreds of dollars. Like today, I made $700 today while I was eating lunch while my store was making me sales on autopilot without me having to lift a finger. And that I am truly blessed for, because I put in the time to learn the skills, the strategies, and develop a framework that I know I can continually rinse and repeat to take new products and make them into winning brands that I can scale up, make a ton of cash with, and sell about 6 to 12 months down the line. And that is a skill I'm going to have for life, and it's a skill that is going to help me invest into real estate, get into watches, get into multiple vacations. I can travel wherever I want. I can basically do whatever I want at this point, and I'm going to set my family up for generations. And I am truly proud as a man to be able to do that. However, there are cons to this business model. 99% of people do fail at it. 99% of people give up before they even really gave it a shot to begin with. And it's because of some potential obstacles and pitfalls that we will talk about in this video. And at the end of this, I really hope you get a full, broad perspective of, are you ready to make the sacrifice it takes to get to my level, to get beyond that level, or to get to whatever is the definition of success for you? Now, I want to first talk about why I believe dropshipping is the best business model in the world. Because truly, I don't believe there's any other business model that is such a low barrier to entry, where you don't need a lot of money, you don't need a ton of time, and yet you can still take that little bit of cash, a few $100, a few $1,000, and you still see routinely people taking that very minuscule amount of money and scaling it to 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures after a year of learning the right skills and execution of the strategies that they learned from their mentors and coaches. That is truly remarkable, and you don't get that in really any other business model. And on top of that, you develop lifelong skills: copywriting, customer psychology, learning how to manage teams, website design, product research. Skills that can be applicable and transferable to so many other business models, so it can really be a launch pad for any other business that you would like to start, because the skills of managing teams, learning how to market, every single business in the world needs that. It gives you the flexibility to set your own schedule once you hire and build a team and have the SOPs, to the point where that business I just showed you, I spend maybe 30 minutes a week on it. It's really not a lot, because I know how to develop teams and have a rinse and repeat formula for taking products, building them with the right teams, so that I don't have to be so hands-on. Now, what did it take to get to this point? Because for a lot of you, you're just hearing the pros. Well, you have to basically sacrifice almost everything. Now, I'm not saying you have to go on monk mode, grind mode, or listen to voicemails from your ex-girlfriend telling you that she loves you, even though she just cheated on you, for motivation mode to be successful, because you really don't. However, I do believe in order to get the 1% of results, you have to do stuff that 99% of people aren't willing to do, and as cliche as it sounds. And in dropshipping, that means you have to be obsessed. As soon as you get into this is not something that you do your 9 to 5, you watch some TV, and you say, oh yeah, I have to test a product today, so let me spend an hour or two on it in the beginning. You cannot do that. In order to develop the skills, in order to surpass the learning curve, in order to get the reps that you need in order to finally be successful, you realistically are going to have to put 3, 6, maybe even 8 to 9 hours a day to get the momentum and the ball rolling. And if you cannot commit that, you are most likely not going to be successful. Talking about my journey. When I first started dropshipping, I was a 16-year-old who got expelled for a variety of bad decisions, mainly involving a gorgeous international exchange student from Spain named Inez, who was incredibly horny, and she turned me into a man. But man, did she make it difficult for me to get into good colleges after what she did to me. And after what had transpired, I knew I wasn't going to get into a good college, so I decided to learn dropshipping. And as soon as I watched the first videos from Noah Brewer, Nicholas Pede, Sam Jacobs, all the guys, I was hooked. Because I saw people my own age, 16, 17-year-olds that were clearly not that intelligent, making a lot of money. And that's very appealing. And that might be what's happening to you right now when I flexed on you in the beginning. But what you don't realize is that all those people, while they may not be the most intelligent, they were incredibly fast with their execution. Whenever they need to get something done, they do it as soon as possible. They prioritize speed, reps, and trial and error over anything else. They don't overanalyze. They don't overthink. They don't watch a bunch of these YouTube videos for weeks and weeks and weeks, take a bunch of notes, and think that that's actually doing work, because it's not. Now, in the beginning, you are going to have to do that process because you don't know anything. You don't know what you don't know. And a lot of times you're not going to learn what you don't know until you actually do the thing. And then through experience, you learn, oh, this is what's important. Now, can you skip that learning curve so that you don't have to spend a year learning the right things and you can just get the answers today? Of course you can. Through working with the right coach, through working with the right courses that will get you step by step, A to Z, what you need to learn. But as you apply any course or any mentorship, there's going to be specific situations that happen to you that you're not going to have answers for, because it's impossible to have a program that has answers for everything. And that's where, yes, having a coach where you can bounce ideas off of immediately will help you tremendously and will speed up the results. And that's why in my own program, we get people that start like Tim from completely ground zero and in 3 months are now doing over 100K a month. But even with Tim, that's an abnormality. Still, even if you invest into coaching programs, and this is something you have to realize, about 10% to 20% of people that invest into mentorships actually become successful. It's probably even on the lower end with other programs outside of my industry because they're so diluted and the delivery of the mentorship is not great. And even Tony Robbins had a great quote where he sells programs for over $10,000, hundred thousands, millions. And he says 70% of people that invest into his programs do not even watch the first video. Because they think buying and investing into a program is actually doing the work, when in reality, that's when the work just begins. So, if you're just starting out and you're on the fence, what is the right way to learn the skills? What sacrifices are you going to make? What budget is it going to take? What skills do you need to learn? And what is a realistic time frame to actually become successful? Let's get into all of that. So, let's start with sacrifices. When I first started at 16, like I said, I was completely obsessed. I had spent every single hour basically after school. School had finished at 3. From 3 to 10, I was working on my business, my website, my ads, finding new products. When I was in school, whenever I had breaks, I was on my phone talking to different influencers, meme pages, trying to get my ads set up for the day. The only thing on my mind was dropshipping. And even when that was the case in the first year, I lost all my money. Imagine that for a second. Putting all of your effort, your time, and your money into something for a year and nothing tangibly comes out of it. That's the first sacrifice. Are you comfortable with that? Because I can guarantee everyone on earth is promising you that you will get results within a few weeks, a few months, whatever it is, by working with them. In fact, I even kind of did that in the beginning. There is still a chance that when you do everything right, it will not work for the first 3 to 6 months. Are you okay with that? For most, they're not. And I find the way to be okay with that is if you realize that, sure, maybe in those 3 to 6 months, I don't make money. I maybe even lose money. But during that time, I'm going to gain so much knowledge, experience, and further my skills that eventually, through more trial and error and through more reps and through more time, I'm going to get this right. And I'm finally going to past that barrier to where I can make a product a winner every single time, and that's a skill I'll have for life, and then I can literally print money from thin air. Because the reality is you are here and you need to get to here. Those 3 to 6 months, there's a chance you will meet that minimum barrier to be successful. But for the majority of you, you're going to be from here to here. You will have made progress. So if you change your definition of progress in the beginning to, how have my product pages improved? How have my ads improved? How has my product selection improved? How has my general knowledge on how to run the business improved? And if you notice that from month 1 to month 5, there has been huge progress, then that's going to keep motivating you, because you'll realize I'm closer. I'm so close. I'm just one product away. I'm just one ad tweak away. I am just one execution point away, one change in my website or ad creatives from making it finally all click together. But that's the first thing. Now, outside of that, I would say another sacrifice you have to be comfortable with is alienating a lot of your friends and your family. Because when I was 17, and I was in my second year of doing this, I had invested into a mentor and I really gave it my all. And once I made that decision, I was finally successful. But what you realize is once things start to work, there's inherently another set of challenges, and the problems never stop. Because once you get something that scales, the next problem is customer satisfaction, order fulfillment, branding your product, maintaining profitability, ad account bans, payment processor bans. The problems don't stop once you start making money. They just begin. And how you deal with those problems will determine how successful you become. Because the more problems you solve, the more money you will make. And the higher level problems you solve, the higher money you'll make. So when I got my first winner, I realized I had to dedicate even more time to my store, because now I was doing customer support for 2 hours a day. I was doing order fulfillment of manually typing in everyone's address, because there was no Desers or AutoDS or any of those that, hey, link down below to get your first month free available. I had to manually input every single order, and if you're getting 30, 50 orders a day, that is tiring, laborious, repetitive work. It's not fun. And I didn't know how to build a team, which in hindsight, I should have done. So I had to sacrifice my sports endeavors, and I really wanted to be a professional soccer player. And after a year of building the team, I was able to pursue it more and move to Spain. But during that year, man, I wasn't going out. I wasn't talking to my friends. I wasn't on social media. I had to completely isolate myself into this room for 10, 12 hours a day, not thinking about anything else. And for a lot of you right now that might not be as introverted as me, that's a hard thing to sacrifice. Your happiness, your social life, being around people you care about in the pursuit of your long-term goals that won't reach for another 3 to 5 years. Sure, your future self will thank you, but your current self is going to be most likely unhappy. Making money doesn't make you happy. Living a balanced life where you can actually do the things you want to do and support the people you want to support and having a purpose will make you happy. But when you're just in the grind phase of making money and being in the weeds, it's a very stressful time. You're not going to enjoy your life. Now, are there ways to make it easier? Yes. And that's developing teams, and that's developing systems, and it's having support networks, and it's having coaches, and it's having people that are on your side behind your back, because it's a very lonely process if you don't have those things. But still, even with all those things, there's no way to prevent the stress, the problems, the loneliness and isolation. It's going to be there to an extent, but you can limit the extent at which it happens. And for me, those first 2 years of actually becoming successful, I still wondered if it was worth it, because I didn't get to have a lot of experiences my friends got to have of going to your frat parties and initiations and meeting new people, having all these interactions, developing your network. I didn't get to do any of that. And I would say it made me kind of socially retarded in hindsight. It stunted my growth for sure as a human being, being so obsessed on one thing. Now, would I change that? No. Because that's what I was optimizing for. I was always looking long term, and I wanted to set myself up because I wanted to be in a position where today I'm the guy who's buying houses, who's buying whatever car I want, who's getting to travel and set my own schedule, while my friends are now graduating and they don't have their life figured out and they have no money whatsoever. I wanted to be in a position where in the future, yes, I sacrificed temporary fun and temporary joy for long-term success and being able to enjoy those things. But it's hard to do. It takes a toll on you. I'd say the next sacrifice you're going to have is just the stress. I've had many horror stories where business partners try to steal 5 figures plus from me, $50,000 in one day, and nearly getting away with it. When you're 19, that's incredibly stressful. I was crying when that day happened. I was thinking to myself, why am I not in college where my biggest stress is, getting a term paper submitted before midnight, compared to $50,000 is being stolen away from me. And if I lose that money, I'm broke and I can't pay my employees. And that's another layer of stress and responsibility. Being a 19-year-old where you have families depending on you making money and generating the bread. And if you don't, they're screwed, and that's on you. That's a lot of stress. The stress of finally figuring it out and having a business that's gaining momentum, but then it slowly starts to chip away and become less and less successful, and you don't know what to do to combat it and reverse the momentum and get it back on track. That's a painful reality that happens to a lot of dropshippers, and that's what usually gets them to quit as well, where you get some initial success, but you don't know how to maintain it. Because frankly, the barrier to success was here. You were here, but you got lucky. And you confused that luck with actually developing skills, which made you cocky. And as you tried to do the same things that got you there, they didn't work anymore. And it does happen. And usually that makes people quit because you question yourself and your abilities. And you realize you aren't as hot shit as you thought you were. So I would say those are probably the main sacrifices you'll have to make, of sacrificing going out, enjoying short-term pleasure, of getting to be a human in a lot of cases, if you really, really want it. But know that if you make those sacrifices, if you give up those things that you do love, which for me was video games, it was hanging out with my friends, it was doing a lot of hobbies, I didn't live a balanced life, and I don't think you can live a balanced life. I think it's very unrealistic to think you can live a balanced life in the beginning of being an entrepreneur in order to be successful. And you have to do all that just for a chance at being successful. There's still a chance you might not. And are you cool with that? Do you love business enough? Do you love e-commerce and dropshipping enough to withstand those rigors and stress? And if so, then I'd say you can begin. Now, if you want to begin, let's now transition to what's the budget you're going to need? What are the skills you're going to need? What are the obstacles you are going to face? And what does success truly look like? Now, in terms of budget, I would recommend at least starting with at least $3,000 to $5,000. Now, how would I allocate that budget? I would say you have to realize you're not going to learn the best strategies and information for free on YouTube. No one's going to give you their best stuff. And in order to be successful, you do need a step-by-step blueprint that will teach you everything you need to know chronologically, so that you know what to focus on first, then second, then third, and you take it at that step where you learn in a video and then you apply it immediately. You don't just learn the entire blueprint and then try implementing. You do it bit by bit, progressively. Now, you can buy my course, you can buy someone else's course, you can buy my mentorship, you can buy someone else's mentorship. I frankly don't care. I just believe, for me, from my experience, I've now invested God knows how much, at least 100,000 plus. When I was 18, I invested $10,000 in my first mentor. It was a lot of money. In fact, he wasn't even my first. He was my first business mentor, Dan Henry. When I was 17, I paid Noah Brewer $2,000 a month. I invested quite a lot of money. And if I didn't do that, I would not be in this position. No doubt in my mind, because they shortcut so many things for you and they really can give you that crucial feedback that you were missing. And for Noah, he taught me what I was missing with my ads and my website. that once I implemented immediately, the 20, 30 different things that he spotted were wrong, I finally had my first winning profitable product. When I talked to Dan Henry and he was coaching me also on different e-commerce businesses and even getting into coaching, there were so many things I was doing wrong that I would have never spotted because I just didn't have the frame of reference and I didn't have the experience. So with that budget, I would say you should realistically be allocating, I would say around half of that into your learning. You have to. You're not going to learn everything through a free course, a $30 course, whatever it is. The fastest way to learn is through mentorship. Now, you may want to get the best deal, and I know there's people that charge, let's say $500 to $1,000 a month, and usually those people don't know what they're doing, and they don't know how to teach, and they don't have great testimonials. So I'd say when you're picking a mentor or picking a course or whatever, which is the first step to really learning this game and getting the right strategies, learn from someone who has given you value for free that you've implemented and gotten results with, whether that be on their YouTube, Instagram, whatever. Verify that their students have gotten results so that they have good case studies that are recent, they've had recent success, and that they have a repeatable blueprint that works for beginners and not just themselves, because that was a mistake I made where I saw someone making a ton of money. I thought they knew a lot, but then when it came to teaching what they knew, they couldn't do it because that's really a skill on their own. And if you do those different processes, then I'd say that's the right person for you. And if you really vibe with them. Now, let's say we had $5,000. We invested $2,000 of that into a mentorship program. Now we have $3,000 left. What do we do with that? From there, when it comes to product research, there are different tools out there where you can get access to all of the best product research tools using, I know in Discord, there are different tool apps out there, ecom ad tools, which is like $20, $30 a month. I know in my Discord, it's $99 a month, and it comes with all the best product research tools like Manea, Jungle Scout, AdSpy. Literally everything you can think of is in there. I know I'm doing a lot of pitches in this video, but that is the truth. Also comes with 2 group calls, by the way, and me reviewing your ads on websites. Not too shabby for $99 a month. I'm basically whoring myself out there. But you want to invest a little bit of money into product research tools, whether you buy your own or you use these shared tools from other people. That's probably going to be around $100 a month. For your website, Shopify, you get a $1 a month plan for 3 months. You're set. Apps, with all the apps I recommend in my apps video, that's around $80 to $100 a month. And I think those are necessary. Those are necessities. So once you do that, let's say you have $100 a month to product research tools, $100 a month to website. Then from there, your real last expenses is all just your ad campaigns, which I recommend testing each product with around $100 to $200. And if you do the math, and we had $3,000, and let's say we're doing this for the next 6 months, that means about $1,200 will go into our website and product research tools. And then we have $1,800 for those next 6 months to test products. So if we test each product with $100, even $150, we can test about 12 products, which isn't bad. And when you test those 12 products over 6 months, that's 2 products a month. That's actually pretty slow. And I would say you could test way more than that. And if you want to get results and go through the trial and error and get to the point where you're making money, you do want to test with more volume than that. Then we'll probably test at least a product a week. So 4 products a month. Ideally, you'd want to do 2 a week, but let's say you do a product a week. When you are testing those products and spending $100 to $150, you're going to be making sales that offset a lot of the costs. So you're not really truly losing $100 to $150 when you test, because you're learning, you're optimizing, and you're going to have those sales that offset costs. So realistically, even though you only have $1,800, and theoretically, if you spend $150 for each test, you can only test, as we mentioned, about 12 products, you're realistically going to be able to stretch the money to test 15 to 20 products. And if you do those tests in a way where you are constantly learning, making tweaks to your website, where you are constantly learning from the products you select of which ones work and which ones aren't, and you double down on what does, and you're constantly split testing your offers, working on improving your product page 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0, working on your ad creatives to make the hooks more engaging, to make the bodies more engaging, to really understand your target audience, their pain points, their desires, and speak directly to them so that they convert and know exactly why they need your product, then by that 6-month mark, you should see some tangible success, if not just in the form of your skills, but in the form of money, of making sales. There should be some signs of progress there. Maybe you're not profitable yet, but there should be a few $1,000s in revenue. And if you're not there, then it's most likely you just did not iterate enough. Now, what are the skills you need to learn in order to scale to $150,000 a month and have multiple brands also scaling to 6 figures a month, like your boy Papa Ethan here? Really, I'd say it boils down to 5 skills. You just need to understand how to find the right products, so product research, how to build high converting websites, how to craft great ads, how to media buy, and then how to build and manage a team. Now, in the beginning, and what I'd say is the most important, are the marketing sides of the business, because if you learn how to market and you learn how to understand your audience, then you can almost sell any product and make it a winner. So that's your ad creatives and your website and your offers. Those 2 things are the most high leverage tasks that you can do, because the media buying side of things, really, there's only so many things you can do with media buying, upping budgets, duplicating ad sets, all that stuff. And it's all based on, did you nail those 2 things down of having the right product, offer, and creative? If you have a great offer and creative, you can scale on any platform, Facebook, TikTok, doing any strategy. That stuff is really irrelevant when you have the fundamentals and the real important stuff nailed down. So I would say if you want to get results, put a disproportionate amount of time. I'm talking 80, 90% of your time on those aspects. You should really, for me personally, when I'm testing 2 to 3 products a week, I spend maybe an hour of that week on product research. The rest of the time, 10, 20, 30, 40 hours is going into crafting those product pages, those descriptions, those offers, the copywriting, the ad scripts, the ad editing. That's where I'm putting the majority of my time, because that's what moves the needle. But where people go wrong is that they spend their time prioritizing on the wrong things, where they do spend way too much time researching products. They spend way too much time doing customer support and order fulfillment and doing the things that maintain the business but don't make it grow. So when you do have something that's making sales and is working, that's when you need to start hiring. You get VAs, go on onlinejobs.ph, go on Upwork, do a job post for a virtual assistant that has experience working with dropshipping stores that can do the customer support using Georges or Zendesk or whatever you're using, so that they can answer the most common tickets that you're going to receive over and over and over again, which is, where is my order? How fast does it ship out? Can I change my shipping address? Blah, blah, blah. Those are usually the 3 main things. You can easily have templates. You can easily train them to make sure that that side of the business is fully optimized and your customers are happy. On the order fulfillment side, partnering with a private agent. And really, you're going to get that usually from a recommendation from either a coach that you've learned from, or you might use a commercial, which is totally fine as well. I think that's a great service. But you want to have a good supplier that you can lean on and build a relationship with, because that will make your life way more stress-free. And once you have those things down, then you should be focusing your time as a CEO on those new ad creatives and new websites to make your business even more profitable. But those are the key skills. And those skills really come with time and through trial and error. And the faster that you can test more products, the higher volume you can test, because the reality is, for most people, it takes about 20 products to find that first winner. So if you can test those 20 products within 3 months, then you are most likely going to get results much faster than someone that has to test those 20 products in 2 years, which for most people, it is about 1 year to 2 years it takes to test that many products. So your goal should be to do as much as possible, do 2 years worth of work in 2 months. Push yourself. Have a priority on speed. Don't be a perfectionist. Realize that getting something to 80, 90% of the way there is much better than spending another week to get it to 100%, because really those are just diminishing returns at that point. The more reps you put in, the faster you can learn what you're missing through failure, because you will fail, and you'll know through those failures, if you have the right KPIs, whether or not it's the website's fault, it's the ad's fault, or it's the product that you're selecting. And once you know what you're lacking, then you can put more time into those skills and develop them. How do you develop your websites? You study the best websites. You gather a few things from each one that you can implement as a new test on a new product that you want to go with, and then you see if that works. Same thing with your ad creatives. You study the best, gather the trends, the similarities of their hooks, their bodies, what they were doing, and then you implement that into your own ads and see if that works. Or you learn from a mentor who already has their winning ads and winning product pages that you can download and copy and paste, so you can try their formula that has been proven to work for other products, so that when you try a product, you know the only thing that can go wrong is the product that you've selected. Now, hopefully this gives you a pretty broad understanding of whether or not you should get into dropshipping. I would say in terms of final obstacles that you will face, typically the biggest one is really the motivation of doing the same thing over and over again, and then making a few tweaks here and there, and realizing that it's still going to take time to work. Because you can do everything right in dropshipping and still 90% of products will fail for you. The best dropshippers in the world have a 10 to 20% hit rate. And for a lot of people, that's hard because you actually might be there. You might have the skills. It's just you haven't found the right product, and that's the only thing that you're missing. And when you're not making money and when you're dedicating so much time to something, obviously because of trying to build it into an income source, it's tough to stay consistent to that. It really is. I get it. And it's easy to fall into those dopamine traps of, okay, this isn't working for me, so I'm just going to go back to my old lifestyle. It's not meant for me. I'm going to go play video games. I'm going to go party. I'm going to go be with my friends. I'm just not cut out for it. When that's really the furthest thing from the truth, and you're so much closer than you think. It's just, you have to change something. But only you really know deep down, if you are truly analyzing what you've done so far, what it is that you've been missing. And if you really don't know, then hey, work with someone who's got the experience and can tell you. So hopefully that gives you a good top to down understanding of what dropshipping is really like. The pros, the cons, the sacrifices, the trial and error you're going to have to go through to eventually get to the point where you can have the skills to build a business that does 6 figures a month, that you can scale, build tons of cash flow, exit from, and repeat over and over again until you do bigger and bigger ventures.